Have you ever listened to a song and yeah, I mean, you've listened to this song like hundreds of times and you listen to it months later or even years later, and maybe you misunderstood a word in that song. You misunderstood the lyrics, right? This happens all the time. This is not a new phenomenon. People have always misunderstood things, right? Like in Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze. For so long, when I was a kid growing up, all my friends thought he was saying, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy." Excuse me while I kiss this guy, right? When he's saying it, when he's really saying, excuse me while I kiss the sky, the sky, not this guy. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Uh, or did you hear a song and many listens later you didn't pay attention to a certain thing in the song, like a certain instrument that now, when you pay attention to it, it's like super prevalent. Um, like the famous cowbell, right, from Blue Oyster Cult. Um, So so with that, how many times have you either misunderstood or misheard something, and now when you hear it, like that's all you hear, right? Certain lyrics, certain, they might have had a hidden meaning or something like that. Somebody pointed it out to you, and now, when you listen to that, you can't ever hear that song the same way again. Happens in movies too sometimes. There's something that you didn't pay attention to, and now anytime you watch that, you can't get it out of your head. Well, what about if I told you that there was a song that you've probably heard many times, and if you haven't, when you hear it, you'll never hear it the same way again. And it's the 1976 song by the Ohio Players called Love Rollercoaster. And at the 2 minute and 32-second mark, there's a murder. Yes, I said a murder. So while they're laying down the track, somebody died, in the studio when they were making the song. All right. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. So it's from their 1976 album Honey. And on the cover of their album, they have a model, and it looks like she's pouring liquid honey into her mouth, right? That's the name of the album, is Honey. Well, the story goes is that food, whenever you're filming food, you typically don't use real food. You would use something that resembles food, right? And to get this photo of the honey and for it to drip a very specific way, you typically wouldn't use real honey. You would use something else. And this photographer supposedly used acrylic, like a liquid acrylic, and it was heated, right? Because you want it to flow at a certain, speed or rate for the camera, and to get a certain image that you want. And so the story goes that this hot liquid acrylic, when it got onto the model's face and body, it burned her and like disfigured her, like horribly disfigured her. So when the group was making their album, she went in to go talk to the manager because she wanted justice. I mean, she was just outraged. She had been disfigured, had to go to the hospital, could never be a model again, and demanded justice. And the manager stabs her and kills her while they're making this song. So like she's not in the studio with them. I guess she's like in the next studio or maybe the sound booth or something. There's various stories on how this all goes down, but when you listen to the song at the 2 minute and 32-second mark, you can hear her screaming as she's being stabbed. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, like that screeching howl of pain and agony? Listen to it one more time here. So, have you ever heard a song where somebody was killed in the studio when this was happening and it made it to record? Like nobody played this back and thought, "Hey, we should, dub that out or do another take or something." Like it made it onto the final copy, and you can hear it on Spotify, you can hear it on Apple Tunes, YouTube Music, anywhere you find this song. at the 2 minute and 32-second mark, you'll hear this woman being murdered. Okay, not necessarily true. All right, so this was a story that was spread around all throughout the 70s. When this album came out, this was Ohio Players, one of their I think their only number one hit, and it was called Love Rollercoaster. In fact, many bands have redone this song. In fact, the Red Hot Chili Peppers redid it, maybe 15, 20 years ago. It's a popular song, and it was used in like the Beavis and Butthead movie, Beavis and Butthead Travel America or something like that. So it's a great song, and I loved this song when I was a kid because whenever we go roller skating, this was just a great song to roller skate to. So, and it was like a kind of disco song, and it was like a funk rock kind of music, and made it to the number one in the Billboard's Hot 100 in 1976. But what this really is, when this album came out, DJs throughout the country didn't understand what they were hearing at this part of the song. This is the breakdown, so when they get into their little solos and things like that, and you can hear the band saying, "Hey, yeah," and all kinds of other things, typical in like a funk song during a breakdown. They're really jazzed and energized and a lot of emotion and feeling going into the song at this point. But what you're hearing is actually the keyboard player, Billy Beck, screaming. He was famous for these screeches that he used to do. And it's kind of very similar to like when Mariah Carey's en route to hitting a high note. She kind of has a little bit of a screech in there a little bit. But when this came out, on album in the 70s to DJs across the country, they couldn't make sense of what they were hearing. So they all started speculating on air of what this sound is. And, like anything else, the game Telephone, or this is how like urban legends are created. They say that this model, got burned during the shooting of the photo, during the photo shoot for the album cover, and just demanded justice, right? And came in and so, well, we're not going to pay you, and kill her. And that's what it sounds like, right? And especially back in the day, we didn't have technology like we have today, with you can like slow things down on computers and really listen to them with better audio to understand. So when you hear something from like your local DJ, you just assume it's true. So, and since nobody really knew who that model was at the time, nobody really looked into it because the police never investigated this fictitious murder. But the lady who is on the album cover is 1974's Playboy Playmate of the Month, Esther Cordet. And surprise, Esther Cordet is alive and well. So, and you can see on her face right here on the photo of the right, she just recently turned like 74 or 75. No burns, no injuries, no nothing. Whenever something comes out and you want to hype something up, these stories, do it well. Whenever a movie comes out before it's released, when you hear that, the actors maybe weren't getting along during the film, it creates some buzz and helps promote the thing. And people really want to go see this movie, whatever's going on. Like there's the Olivia Wilde situation right now with Shia LaBeouf. And that's, bringing a lot of controversy and a whole lot of buzz to the release of her new movie that she's directed. So is this what has happened with this song? Something just as minor as, somebody misinterpreting, a musician screaming in the background and equating that to murder. Because this literally was everywhere. You can search the internet and look up these stories of, the Ohio Players Honey album cover model murdered. And there are literally hundreds and hundreds of stories about this, but it's all fake. It never happened. But when you hear that song and you hear that at the 2 minute and 2 minute and 32 seconds mark, it's very distinguishable. It sounds like somebody's getting killed. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, does this happen to you? You ever heard this? Or are there any other songs that you know of where maybe somebody was shot or strangled or something like that during the recording and it made it onto the actual album? Leave me a comment down below and let me know. I've always loved this song, and I knew about this story, and I thought, well, I got to talk about this. So let me know. Do you enjoy this? Did you think this was interesting? Leave me a comment down below. If you enjoy my content, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Really helps the algorithm out that you enjoyed my video. I will talk to you next time on the John Malone Show.